See, the problem is enough women don't believe that they're fine. We've gone through so many things in life. We've been abused and misused. And then we lose hope. Low self-esteem. No confidence. But God says that He doesn't create any mess. He doesn't create any junk, regardless of the situations or the situation that you have been in. You still are destined for purpose. You still are that queen that God designed you to be. You still are that powerful woman that can do great things, whether it's write a book, whether it's start a business, whether it's travel the world. I am who God says I am. And I can do what God says that I can do. Now, when I look at my life, married to a preacher of 16 years, also married to a preacher before that. And guess what? Both abusive situations. A lot of times when you look at people in ministry, you believe that behind closed doors everything is okay. But oftentimes you don't know the hell that's going on. You don't know the pain that that first lady or that woman is suffering. You don't know if she's getting hit in the face, dragged down the step, or being used and misused by her husband, who's also having multiple affairs. We don't talk about those kind of things in the church. But guess what? They exist. And they exist more frequent than we would like to believe that they exist. And one thing I want you to think about is, how can I be loyal to a pastor, but not even loyal to my God? How can I be loyal to a pastor and not even loyal to myself? A lot of times, ladies, we allow men to do whatever they want to do. And we say, okay, well, we're going to support them. And we believe and we have hope. But what is God saying about that situation? And I know that this isn't church or anything, but you want to be the best person that God wants you to be. You know, when I was going through my situation and I was going to my leaders, you know, they would say, well, pray it out and fast it out. Well, some things you just can't pray out and fast out. Some things you have to take the courage and the liberty to move out of so that you can reach your full potential as the woman that God designed you to be. What are your children saying about your situation? They're looking at you being abused, so guess what? When they see you being abused, most likely they're going to be abused too. Why? Because mama accepted it. But God says that you are who He says that you are. You know, and I teach women to be bold, be confident, be sassy, be sexy, be authentic, be true. How many of us in here really are fine? You know, that song Happy comes on, oh, I'm happy. But when the song goes off, who are you? What makes you happy? A lot of women don't even know what makes them happy. So we look to men for our happiness. God designed you to be happy. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to know who you are. What makes you laugh? What makes you smile? What makes you thrive? What makes you sad? We need to know these things as women, because when we know those type of things, those small things, then we can get in tune with who we are. You know, we put on our makeup, and it's like, wow, you look in the mirror, and it looks like beauty, but inside we're hurting like hell. And we paint pictures for other people. So the reason that we hate our sisters is because we really don't love ourselves. Because the word says, I am my sister's keeper. And a lot of people want to know, well, how'd you become so happy and free, and how'd you get delivered? I got delivered on the dance floor with margaritas in my hand. The church people didn't do it for me, okay? But guess what? Every time I went to the club, I took Jesus with me. Jesus, let me get there safe and let me get home safe. And guess what? He did just that. And a lot of people, we don't want to talk about those type of things, the real things. You know, we go to church and they say, well, you can't dance and you got to pray like this and you got to do it like this. But what is God saying about you? Because only God gave you that desire to want to dance. I love to dance. But when I got married to the preacher, I forgot myself and I gained all this weight and I looked old. But when I decided I was leaving him, guess what? I got me a trainer. I said I can't be going out there all big and you know that I don't want nobody not to want me. I want to be fine and slim. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want not to be desirable first to myself, but then to other people. You know, in that situation, I began to live in a cage. And that song that this gentleman just played, it was so powerful to me because God told me to get my things and go to Texas. And on my way to Texas by myself, I played that song about 8 or 9 times. I'm just fine. And guess what? As I was driving down the highway, the weight of the world, the weight of that relationship just started to fall off. And I said, I really am fine. You know? But we have to know that we're fine, not only in appearance, but in spirit.
That's right.
Who am I in my spirit? Am I broken still? Or am I authentically happy? I want everyone in here, every woman, every man in here, to be who God says you are. If you're that person that want to dance, if you're that person that want to create, don't let man stop you. The word says, I'd rather obey God than man. And guess what? God has so many things that's so big for you. But you got to stop listening to other people.
That's right.
People will hinder you. Being in bad relationships will stifle you. And guess what? You'll feel like you're dying. So when I got out the cage, I became real happy and real free. And I said, no one can ever take away what God has done for me at this point in my life. So when I walk in a room, I walk in a room with confidence. You know, people say, well, do you have cancer? No, I don't have cancer. But I'm confident enough to cut all my hair off every week and sometimes twice a week. Because I am who God says I am. And this doesn't make me who I am. It's my heart condition that makes me the woman that I am. So I know how to be a base and I know how to be above. I've had great and I've had low. I've been on welfare and that's okay because I'm still who God says I am. So you can look at me and say, oh, you know, she thinks she's all that. Yes, I believe that I am all that. I know that I'm all that. Why? Because I am who God says I am and I can do and be what God says I can do and be.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people say, well, why did you create this show, Preacher's Exes? Why? Because you don't know the hell that I've been through. You don't know the hell that other women are going through. And the world needs to know that there's a dying person in the church called the First Lady or the preacher's wife. We've been called hoes and we've been called ratchet and all these things. But guess what? I ain't nobody's hoe and I ain't ratchet. I might get a little hood sometimes. I ain't going to pull no knife out and cut you, but I might beat you down. So I tell people, don't let the pretty thing fool you right here. I'm from Philly and I don't play. The way you step to me is the way I'm going to step to you. But guess what? I am who God says I am and I can do what God says I can do. So ladies, you have to say, I am who God says I am.
God says I am.
Wait, and all these women in here, and that's all y'all got? Y'all be cheering for Oprah. When Jess tell you to do it, you do it loud. I am who God says I am.
Who God says I am.
And guess what? You're all beautiful queens. You know, when you take off the weave and the wig and all that, just say, excuse me. Darn, I'm fine. When you look in the mirror, just say, wow, girl, you're just beautiful. Who is that queen right there? I am who God says I am. See, I talk to myself. I say, girl, you sure is fine.
That's right.
Every day.
Got to.
And it's not that I'm trying to convince myself, but it's because I want my spirit to be lined up with how I really want to feel. You know, sometimes we have to dream big and we aim high. Not sometimes, all the time. You know, if we shop at Walmart now, then we might want to go to Macy's later, and then you start shopping at Macy's, and then you might want to go to Saks Fifth Avenue. We got to think higher as women. Think real big. Think millionaire status. Because you can be a millionaire. You can drive the Bentley and you can drive the Maserati. You don't have to look at everybody else and desire that. You can have that. Why? Because you are who God says that you are. That's right. If you wear makeup from CVS now, you can get MAC later or whatever else. You know what I'm saying? Think big about yourself. When I was on welfare, I used to go and get steaks and lobsters with my mink coat on. And at that time, they was pulling a stamp sale, and I say, here's my stamps. But guess what? It was the mindset. I've always had a big mind, but I needed to use the world for my resources at that time. And guess what? Those resources got me through dental hygiene school so that I could support my children. But then I got tired of that. I said, oh no, I'm tired of cleaning teeth. My neck hurt. My back hurt. My hands hurt. And God has a greater purpose in my life. And this ain't it. So yes, I'll get rid of the $45 an hour. And I'll just do me and do what God created me to do. Which was to empower other women just to be. Be confident. Be bold. Be victorious. Be authentic. Be a life support to some other woman who needs you. That's right. You know, when us as women, we judge women just by what we see. Oh, she thinks she's all that. And yes, she might think she's all that. But guess what? Do you really know her heart? Do you know why that teenage girl is very promiscuous? Do you know if she was raped or molested? But we tend to judge people. But we need to take time and listen to people's stories. That's right. We need to get to know that young lady because guess what? I was promiscuous. But everybody was talking about me, but not realizing that at the age of 6 or 7, my uncle was raping me. Like spirits attract like spirits. So I desired that feeling. And I believed that I could get love from a man. So I went from man to man to man to man. 4 marriages. But guess what? I am who God says I am. Mm-hmm. And if God can clean me up, He can clean any of us up. And I've made a pact with God because I got tired of giving my vagina away. You know, ladies, we give it away for free.
Tell the truth.
A prostitute has more sense than the common woman. Mm-hmm. At least she gets paid for her service. Yes. Yep. But I made a pact with God that this right here, you ain't getting that till you put a ring on it. And not no little ring, honey. You better come with 3 carats or more because I've been through some hell. So that means you got to have something because I ain't going to pay your way. You're not going to be sleeping in my bed and driving my car and all that kind of good stuff. No, you're not. So if you want the vagina, you got to pay for the vagina. With a ring. A big ring. But I am who God says I am. My book 3 p.m. The Preacher, The Power, the Penis in Me. And don't get offended by the word penis. Because a lot of times us ladies get in trouble because of the penis. We get all strung out and crazy acting. Because he just did it to us that well. And sometimes not even that well. But we just get hooked on it. And if you're anything like me, you just know how to work it. And then you want the feeling some more. So I told my daughters, instead of going around having sex, I'd rather you get a toy and please yourself. That way you won't get HIV or any other disease that could come with, sex, unprotected, or sometimes even protected, because you can gain herpes even with a condom on. So don't get offended by that word penis. Because guess what? In our community, between the ages of 15 to 25 has the highest HIV and AIDS rate. So our children need to be taught about the penis. It's tight, but it's right. Ain't that what they say in church? It's tight, but it's right. I know we ain't in church, it's just in me. I try to get rid of it on the dance floor, but it's still in me. I be like, oh, Jesus, you good. So if you can, please support me. My books are $14.99. That's not a lot of money. It's about 3 McDonald's meals. So support me. This is how I support myself. But I have truly, truly, truly enjoyed everyone here. Ladies, you're powerful. You're precious in the eyesight of God. And you are who God says that you are. That's right. And I hope that even in the fun and the laughter, that I have empowered you today to go further, to dream bigger, and to have more. Because God is the God of kingdomship. And truly a queen reigns in the kingdom.
That's right.
You're the neck that turns the king's head. So when he goes before God, guess what? You go before God. So if you don't have anyone who's going before God for you, you can go to God all by yourself.
That's right. All right.